The rain came down hard that August night in 1883. Sarah Henderson stood at the window of the small farmhouse and watched the storm. Lightning lit up the sky every few seconds. Thunder shook the walls. She was worried about the animals in the barn. Her father was in bed. William Henderson had been sick for months now. He was getting worse every day. Sarah did all the farm work by herself. She fed the chickens, milked the cows, and fixed the fences. It was hard work for a young woman alone. Sarah was 23 years old. Many women her age were already married with children. But Sarah had said no to every man who asked for her hand. She wanted to choose her own husband. She wanted to marry for love, not just because someone had land or money. The storm got worse. Sarah put on her father's old coat and went outside. The rain hit her face hard. The wind pushed against her body. She ran toward the barn. She needed to make sure the animals were safe. When she opened the barn door, something moved in the corner. Sarah stopped. Her heart beat fast. Was it an animal, a thief? She picked up a pitchfork and held it in front of her. Lightning flashed. In that bright moment, Sarah saw a man lying in the hay. He was not moving much. She walked closer, still holding the pitchfork. The man looked up at her. His face was covered in dirt and blood. He was Apache. Sarah could tell by his clothes and his long black hair. His shirt was torn and dark with blood. He had a bad wound on his side. His eyes looked at her with fear and pain. Sarah knew she should be scared. White settlers and Apache people had been fighting for years in this territory. Many people on both sides had died. Her neighbors would call her crazy for helping him. Some would even call her a traitor. But Sarah had learned medicine from her mother before she died. She could not see a person in pain and do nothing. That was not who she was. She put down the pitchfork. She knelt beside the man and looked at his wound. It was bad, but not too bad. A bullet had cut across his side. He had lost blood, but he would live if someone helped him. The man said something in his own language. Sarah did not understand the words, but she understood he was asking if she would hurt him. "I will help you," Sarah said slowly. "I am a friend." She helped him stand up. He was tall and strong, but he could barely walk. Sarah put his arm around her shoulders. They walked slowly through the rain to the farmhouse. Inside, Sarah led him to the small room where she kept supplies. She made him sit on a wooden chair. Then she went to wake her father. William Henderson was angry at first. "Are you mad, girl?" he shouted from his bed. "Bringing an Apache into our home? He could kill us both." "He is dying, father," Sarah said calmly. "I will not let a man die when I can help him. Mother taught me better than that." The mention of Sarah's mother made William quiet. His wife had been a kind woman. She had helped anyone who needed it, no matter who they were. She died giving birth to a baby that did not live. William missed her every day. "Do what you must," William said finally, "but I am keeping my rifle close." Sarah went back to the wounded man. She heated water on the stove and gathered clean cloths. She had whiskey for cleaning wounds and herbs for pain. Her mother had taught her well. The man watched her with dark eyes as she worked. When she cleaned his wound with whiskey, he made no sound, even though Sarah knew it must hurt terribly. She stitched the wound closed with careful hands. Then she wrapped clean cloth around his body. "What is your name?" she asked. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said one word. "Taze, Taze," Sarah repeated. "I am Sarah. This is my father's farm. You are safe here." She did not know if he understood all her words, but she hoped he understood her meaning. Taze tried to speak again, but his eyes closed. The fever was starting. Sarah knew the next few days would be dangerous. Many men died from fever after a wound, even if the wound itself was not too bad. She made a bed for him on the floor of the supply room. It was not much, but it was warm and dry. She covered him with blankets. Then she sat in a chair and watched him through the night. Outside, the storm continued. Rain pounded on the roof. Wind rattled the windows. But inside, the house was quiet except for the sound of Taze's difficult breathing. Sarah thought about what she had done. She had brought an Apache man into her home. If the neighbors found out, there would be trouble. Some people would stop talking to her. Others might try to take Taze away and hang him. That was what happened to Apache men sometimes, even if they had done nothing wrong. But Sarah believed she had made the right choice. A person was a person. Pain was pain. She could not turn away from someone who needed help. The next morning, Taze's fever was worse. He spoke words in his language that Sarah could not understand. His skin was hot to touch. Sarah wiped his face with cool water and tried to make him drink. Her father came to the doorway, leaning on his cane. He looked at Taze lying on the floor. "How is he?" William asked. "The fever is bad," Sarah said, "but I have seen worse." "He is strong." "He might live." William nodded slowly. "Your mother would be proud of you," he said quietly. Then he went back to his room. For 3 days, Sarah barely slept. She stayed beside Taze, fighting to keep him alive. She made him drink water with herbs in it. She changed his bandages. She kept him cool when the fever was high and warm when he shook with cold. Sometimes Taze opened his eyes and looked at her. Sarah did not know what he was thinking. Did he wonder why a white woman was helping him? Did he think she would turn him over to the soldiers when he got better? On the 3rd night, the fever finally broke. Taze opened his eyes and they were clear for the first time. He looked around the room. Then he looked at Sarah. "You saved my life," he said in broken English. His voice was rough from not speaking. "Yes," Sarah said simply. "Why?" he asked. Sarah thought about that question. It was a good question. She could have let him die in the barn. She could have called for help and let the soldiers take him. No one would have blamed her. "Because it was the right thing to do," she said finally. Taze looked at her for a long time. Then he nodded once. Sarah saw something in his eyes change. It was respect, maybe even gratitude. She did not know it then, but that moment would change both their lives forever. The storm outside had passed, but a different kind of storm was just beginning. Taze got stronger each day. After a week, he could walk without help. After 2 weeks, the wound on his side was healing well. Sarah changed his bandages every morning and evening. She noticed that he never complained about pain. He also never tried to leave. Sarah expected him to go as soon as he was well enough to travel. Most men would have thanked her and disappeared into the desert. But Taze stayed. Every morning he walked outside and looked at the farm. Then he would find work to do. At first it was small things. He fixed a broken fence post. He cleared rocks from the field. He helped Sarah carry water from the well. He did not ask permission. He just did the work. William Henderson watched from his window. The old man was surprised. He had fought against Apache warriors in his younger days. He knew them as fierce fighters who did not like to be told what to do. But this young man was different. He worked hard and said little. Why does he stay? William asked Sarah one evening. "I think he feels he owes us something," Sarah said. "I saved his life. Now he wants to repay the debt." "Apache have strange ideas about debts and honor," William said. "Be careful, daughter. We do not know what he wants." But Sarah was not afraid of Taze. When she looked at him, she saw a man who had lost much. Sometimes she caught him staring at the mountains in the distance. His eyes looked sad and far away. She wondered what he was thinking about. Did he have family? Where did he come from? What had happened to make him end up wounded in her barn? Taze's English was not very good, but it was getting better. In the evenings, after the work was done, he would sit on the porch steps. Sarah would sit in her rocking chair. She would say words slowly and he would repeat them. "Fence," she would say. "Fence," he would repeat. "Corn, corn, sky, sky." Sometimes he would teach her words in his language too. She learned that she meant I and ni meant you. She learned that shikis meant my friend. When he called her that, she felt something warm in her chest. One night Sarah asked him where he came from. Taze was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke slowly, choosing his English words carefully. "My people lived in mountains," he said. "Soldiers came. They said we must go to reservation. Place for Apache far away. Bad place. Not enough food. Not enough water. Children sick and dying." He stopped talking. Sarah could see the pain on his face. "Some of us left the reservation," he continued. "We wanted to be free, to live the old way, but soldiers chased us. They shot at us. My brother died. My cousin died. I ran. I got shot too. Then I found your barn." "I am sorry," Sarah said softly. She did not know what else to say. Taze looked at her. "You helped me. You did not have to. White people usually do not help Apache. They usually shoot us." "Not all white people are the same," Sarah said. "Just like not all Apache are the same." Taze nodded slowly. "You are different," he said. "You are good." The days passed. Summer turned to early fall. The nights got cooler. Taze worked harder than any hired man Sarah had ever seen. He was up before sunrise and worked until after dark. He never asked for payment. Sarah gave him food and a place to sleep in the barn. That seemed to be enough for him. William Henderson was walking less now. He stayed in bed most days. Sarah knew her father was dying. She could see it in his gray skin and tired eyes. But he never complained. He just watched Taze work and shook his head in wonder. That Apache does more work in one day than 3 white men, William said. I have never seen anything like it. Then came the night that changed everything. It was late September. The moon was only a thin slice in the sky. Sarah was in bed, almost asleep, when she heard the horses making noise in the barn. They were scared. Something was wrong. She got up and put on her dress quickly. She grabbed the rifle from the corner of her room. Then she ran outside. In the darkness, she could see shapes moving near the barn. Men on horses. 3 or 4 of them. They were trying to open the barn door to steal the horses and cows. Sarah raised the rifle. Get away from there, she shouted. The men turned. One of them laughed. Well, look here, boys. A woman with a gun. How about you put that down before you hurt yourself? Sarah fired the rifle into the air. The sound was loud in the quiet night. The next shot will not be in the air, she said. Her voice was shaking but strong. The men pulled out their own guns. Sarah's heart beat fast. She was alone against 4 thieves. She could not fight them all. Then Taze appeared from the shadows. He moved so quietly that even Sarah had not heard him. He had a knife in his hand and he looked very dangerous. 4 against 2 is not fair, he said in his accented English. Maybe you should go. The leader of the thieves stared at Taze. An Indian, he said. Even better. We can kill you and the woman and take everything. You can try, Taze said calmly. What happened next happened very fast. The leader raised his gun. Taze threw his knife. It hit the man's hand and he dropped his gun with a yell. Before the other men could react, Taze had picked up a wooden pole and swung it hard. He hit one man in the head. The man fell from his horse. Sarah fired her rifle again. This time she aimed at the ground near the horses. The horses got scared and jumped. 2 of the thieves fell off. They scrambled to their feet and ran into the darkness. The leader held his bleeding hand. You will pay for this, he shouted. Then he and his men rode away fast. Sarah lowered her rifle. Her hands were shaking. Taze came to stand beside her. Are you hurt? He asked. No, Sarah said. Are you? No. He looked at her with respect. You are brave. You fight like a warrior. You saved us, Sarah said. If you had not been here, they would have taken everything. They might have hurt me or my father. Taze shook his head. You saved my life. I saved yours. Now we are equal. But Sarah did not feel they were equal. She felt grateful. She also felt something else, something she did not want to name yet. William Henderson had heard the noise. He was standing in the doorway in his nightshirt, holding onto the wall to stay up. His face was white. What happened? He asked. Sarah told him about the thieves. William looked at Taze for a long moment. Then he did something surprising. He held out his hand. Thank you, William said. You protected my daughter and my home. I will not forget this. Taze looked at the offered hand. Then he shook it. It was the first time he had touched William Henderson. I protect what is important, Taze said simply. William nodded. Then he looked at Sarah. Something had changed in his eyes. Sarah could see that her father was thinking about something serious. Help me back to bed, William said to Sarah. We will talk more tomorrow. That night, Sarah could not sleep. She kept thinking about how Taze had appeared from the shadows. He had been watching over them. He had been guarding the farm even when they were sleeping. How many nights had he done this? She thought about the way he looked at her sometimes. She thought about the way her heart felt when he was near. She was confused by her own feelings. Taze was Apache. She was white. Their people were enemies. Her neighbors would never accept him. Some would call her terrible names if they knew she had feelings for him. But did she have feelings for him? Sarah was not sure. She knew she felt safe when he was around. She knew she liked talking to him in the evenings. She knew she looked forward to seeing him each morning. Outside in the barn, Taze was also awake. He lay in the hay and stared at the ceiling. He thought about Sarah, about her kindness, about her bravery, about the way she smiled when he said an English word correctly. He knew he should leave. Every day he stayed made it harder to go, but he could not leave yet, not when Sarah and her father needed protection. Not when his debt to her was not yet paid, and maybe, he thought, not when his heart did not want to go. October came with cooler mornings and shorter days. The leaves on the few trees near the farm turned yellow and brown. Sarah watched her father get weaker each day. William Henderson rarely left his bed now. He ate very little. His breathing was difficult. Sarah knew what was coming. She had seen death before. Her mother had died in this same room, in this same bed. Sarah had been only 15 then. Now she was going to lose her father too. Taze seemed to understand. He worked harder than ever.
He chopped enough wood to last through winter.
He fixed every broken thing on the farm. He made sure the animals were healthy and the barn was strong. It was as if he wanted to make sure Sarah would be safe after William was gone. The people from the nearby town of Mesquite Springs started to notice Taze. A few travelers had seen him working on the Henderson farm. Word spread quickly. Soon everyone knew that Sarah Henderson was keeping an Apache man on her property. Some people came to the farm to warn her. Mrs. Baker, who owned the general store, came with her husband. They stood in Sarah's kitchen and talked to her like she was a child. "You cannot keep that savage here," Mrs. Baker said. "What will people think? What will people say about you?" "I do not care what people say," Sarah told her. "Taze saved my life and my father's life. He has done nothing wrong." "He is Apache," Mr. Baker said, as if that explained everything. "They are dangerous. They kill people." "So do white people," Sarah said quietly. "I have seen white men do terrible things too." The Bakers left angry. But they were not the only visitors. More people came. Some were curious. Some were angry. Some were worried about Sarah. The worst visitor was Clayton Prescott. He was the son of the richest rancher in the territory. He had asked Sarah to marry him twice. Both times she had said no. But Clayton did not like to hear the word no. Clayton rode up to the farm on his expensive horse. He was a handsome man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He wore fine clothes and shiny boots. He thought very highly of himself. "Sarah," he said, not getting down from his horse, "I heard you have an Indian working here. Is it true?" "It is true," Sarah said. "She was hanging laundry on the line." "Send him away," Clayton said. "It is not proper. An unmarried woman and a savage man living on the same property." "People are talking. Let them talk," Sarah said. She continued hanging the laundry. Clayton's face got red. "I am trying to protect your reputation. If you marry me, all this will go away. You will have my name and my protection. You will live in a big house. You will not have to work on this poor farm anymore." Sarah looked at him. "I do not want to marry you, Clayton. I have told you this before." "You are being foolish," Clayton said angrily. "When your father dies, this farm will be taken from you. A woman cannot own property alone. The bank will take it, or I will buy it, or someone else will claim it. You will have nothing. Is that what you want?" Sarah felt fear rise in her chest. She knew Clayton was right about one thing. The law did not protect women who owned property alone. Many women lost their farms after their husbands or fathers died. But marrying Clayton was not the answer. "I will find a way," she said. Clayton laughed. "There is no way. Not for you. Not with that Apache on your property. You have made yourself unmarriageable. No decent man will have you now." He rode away, leaving Sarah standing alone with her wet laundry. That night, Sarah sat beside her father's bed. William was awake but very weak. He held her hand with his thin fingers. "I heard Clayton Prescott was here," William said. "Yes," Sarah said. "He wanted me to marry him." I said no. "Good," William said. "He is not a good man. Too proud. Too mean." They sat in silence for a moment. Then William spoke again. "Sarah, I need to talk to you about something important." "What is it, Father?" William took a difficult breath. "I am dying. We both know this. I will be gone soon. Maybe days, maybe weeks, but not long." "Father, do not say that," Sarah said, even though she knew it was true. "Listen to me," William said firmly. "When I die, you will be alone. This farm will not be yours." Clayton was right about that. The law will not protect you. Someone will take this land. Maybe Clayton, maybe the bank, maybe someone else. You will lose everything your mother and I built. Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "I know. There is only one way to protect you," William said. He looked toward the door, then back at Sarah. "You must marry Taze." Sarah stared at her father. "What?" "The Apache man," William said. "He is a good man. I have watched him. He is honest. He is hard-working. He is brave. He protected you when those thieves came. He asks for nothing. These are qualities that matter. These are things that last. But father, Sarah said, he is Apache. The law might not even allow us to marry, and even if it does, everyone will hate us. They will make our lives terrible. Let them try, William said. His voice was weak but determined. If you are married, the law will say this farm belongs to your husband. No one can take it. You will be safe, and I believe Taze will be good to you. Better than Clayton Prescott. Better than any of those other men who only want this land. Did you ask him about this? Sarah asked. No, William said. I wanted to talk to you first, but I will call him now. Father, wait, Sarah said. But William was already calling for Taze. Taze came into the room. He looked worried. He could see that William was very sick. Taze, William said. Come here. Taze walked to the bed. He stood straight and tall. His dark eyes were serious. You saved my daughter's life, William said. You have worked on this farm without asking for payment. You have shown honor and courage. These things tell me what kind of man you are. Taze nodded but said nothing. I am dying, William said. When I am gone, bad men will try to take this farm from Sarah. They will say a woman cannot own land alone. They will use the law against her. She will lose everything. Taze's jaw got tight. This is wrong. Yes, it is wrong, William agreed. But it is the law. There's only one way to protect Sarah and this farm. You must marry her. Sarah saw surprise flash across Taze's face. He looked at her, then back at William. You want me to marry your daughter? Taze asked slowly. Yes, William said. If you are her husband, the farm will be yours by law. No one can take it. Sarah will be safe. Taze was quiet. Sarah could not tell what he was thinking. She felt her face getting hot. This was embarrassing. Her father was trying to force a marriage with a man who probably did not want her. I understand, Taze said finally. You want me to protect Sarah and the farm? Yes, William said, and if I say no, then Sarah will be alone when I die. She will lose her home. She will have nothing. She will have to go to town and work for someone else, or maybe marry a man like Clayton Prescott who will be cruel to her. Taze looked at Sarah again. Their eyes met. Sarah wished she could read his thoughts. I owe Sarah my life, Taze said quietly. She could have let me die. She could have called soldiers to take me, but she helped me. She was kind when she did not have to be kind. So you will do it? William asked. I will do it, Taze said, but only if Sarah agrees. I will not force her. Everyone looked at Sarah. She felt trapped. Her father was dying. He wanted her to be safe. Taze was offering to help. But this was not how she imagined marriage. There was no love here. Only duty and debt. What if you want to leave later? Sarah asked Taze. What if you want to go back to your people? Then I will go, Taze said. But first I will make sure you are safe. I will make sure the farm is secure in your name. I will not leave you with nothing. Sarah looked at her father. William's eyes were pleading. She looked at Taze. His face was calm and serious. She thought about Clayton Prescott and his mean smile. She thought about losing her home. She thought about being alone in the world with no family and no place to go. She thought about Taze sitting on the porch steps, learning English words. She thought about the way he protected the farm at night. She thought about the respect in his eyes. All right, she said quietly. I will marry you. William let out a long breath. Relief washed over his face. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you both. You have given me peace. Taze nodded once. Then he left the room quietly. Sarah sat with her father until he fell asleep. Later that night, Sarah lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. She was going to marry Taze, an Apache man she barely knew, a man from a different world, a man who was only marrying her because of duty. She wondered what he was thinking in the barn. Did he regret saying yes? Did he feel trapped? Or did he feel nothing at all? Sarah touched her chest where her heart was beating fast. She realized something that scared her. She wanted Taze to have feelings for her. She wanted this marriage to be real, not just words on paper, but she was afraid of her own feelings, afraid of what people would say, afraid that Taze would leave as soon as he could, afraid that she was about to make the biggest mistake of her life. The news spread through Mesquite Springs like fire through dry grass. Sarah Henderson was going to marry the Apache man. People could talk about nothing else. In the general store, women whispered behind their hands. At the saloon, men shook their heads in disgust. At the church, the preacher gave sermons about staying with your own kind. Everyone had an opinion, and most of those opinions were angry. Mrs. Baker refused to sell supplies to Sarah anymore. "I will not help someone who betrays her own race," she said loudly when Sarah came to the store. Sarah had to travel to the next town to buy flour and sugar. Some people were even meaner. Someone threw rocks through the windows of the farmhouse one night. Someone else left a dead coyote on the porch with a note that said, "This will be you." Sarah cleaned up the glass and buried the coyote. She did not tell Taze about the note. She did not want him to feel worse than he already did. But Taze knew anyway. He saw everything. He heard the names people called when they rode past the farm. He saw the way people looked at Sarah in town. He saw how alone she was becoming. One evening he found Sarah sitting on the porch steps. She was crying quietly. He sat down beside her. "You should not marry me," he said. "I am making your life harder." Sarah wiped her eyes. "It is not your fault. People are cruel. They are cruel because of me," Taze said. "Because I am Apache. Because I am different. If you marry a white man, even a bad white man like Clayton, your life would be easier." "I do not want an easy life," Sarah said. "I want a life where I can choose." "I choose you." Taze looked at her with surprise. "Why?" Sarah thought about her answer. "Because you are kind. Because you work hard. Because you protect what is important. Because you have honor. These things matter more than what people think." "Your father told you to marry me," Taze said. "You do not have to do what he says." "I know," Sarah said. "But I want to." They sat in silence as the sun went down. Sarah wondered if she should tell him the whole truth, that she was starting to have real feelings for him, that she thought about him all the time, that her heart beat fast when he was near, but she stayed quiet. What if he did not feel the same way? What if he was only marrying her because of duty? She could not bear to know. The next problem was finding someone to marry them. Sarah went to see the preacher, Reverend Thomas. He was an old man with gray hair and a long beard. He had known Sarah since she was a child. "Reverend," Sarah said, "I need you to perform a marriage ceremony." "Of course, my dear," the Reverend said with a smile. "Who is the lucky man?" "His name is Taze," Sarah said. "He is Apache." The smile disappeared from the Reverend's face. "Absolutely not. I will not marry a Christian woman to a heathen savage. It would be against God's law." "Where in the Bible does it say that?" Sarah asked. She was getting angry now. "It is implied," the Reverend said stiffly. "We must not mix with the inferior races. It is not natural." "My mother taught me that God loves all people," Sarah said. "She said we are all equal in his eyes." "Your mother was a saint," the Reverend said. "But she would not want you to do this." Sarah stood up. "You did not know my mother as well as you think. She would have helped Taze just like I did. She would not care what people thought." She left the church with tears in her eyes. She had no one to marry them now. Maybe this was a sign. Maybe they should not get married after all. But then Dr. Hayes came to visit William. Dr. Hayes was a young man from the East. He had only been in Arizona for 2 years. He was different from most people in Mesquite Springs. He believed in science and facts, not rumors and fear. Dr. Hayes examined William and then talked to Sarah in the kitchen. "Your father is dying," he said gently. "His heart is very weak. He has maybe a week left, maybe less." Sarah nodded. She already knew this. "I heard about your plans to marry the Apache man," Dr. Hayes said. "I also heard that Reverend Thomas refused to perform the ceremony." "Yes," Sarah said quietly. "That is wrong," Dr. Hayes said firmly. "I have seen Taze. He helped me carry my medical bag when I arrived. He was polite and respectful. He seems like a good man." "He is a good man," Sarah said. "I will talk to Reverend Thomas," Dr. Hayes said. "I will convince him to marry you. Your father wants to see you married before he dies. We should not deny a dying man his last wish." Dr. Hayes was true to his word. He went to see Reverend Thomas that same day. Sarah did not know what he said, but it worked. The next day, Reverend Thomas came to the farm. He looked unhappy, but he agreed to perform the ceremony. "I am doing this for your father," the Reverend said to Sarah. "Not because I approve." "I do not care why you are doing it," Sarah said. "Just do it." The wedding was set for 2 days later. It would be in the Henderson farmhouse, in the main room where Sarah's parents had been married 25 years before. But there was another problem. Clayton Prescott heard about the wedding. He was furious. He could not accept that Sarah had chosen an Apache man over him. His pride was hurt. His anger was dangerous. Clayton went to the sheriff. Sheriff Morrison was a fair man, but he was also friends with Clayton's father. The Prescott family had a lot of power in the territory. That Apache needs to be arrested, Clayton told the sheriff. He is probably a criminal. He probably escaped from a reservation. You should take him to jail. Sheriff Morrison stroked his mustache and thought about it. Do you have proof that he did anything wrong? He is Apache, Clayton said. That is proof enough. How many white people has he killed? How many farms has he raided? I do not know, Sheriff Morrison said. Has he done any of those things here? Well, no, Clayton admitted. But he must have done something. Why else would he be hiding on Sarah's farm? Sheriff Morrison shook his head. I cannot arrest a man just because he is Apache. He needs to have broken a law. And from what I hear, the only thing this man has done is work hard and protect Sarah and her father. You owe my father money, Clayton said quietly. A lot of money. He could call in that debt any time. Sheriff Morrison's face got hard. Are you threatening me? I am reminding you where your loyalty should be, Clayton said. But Sheriff Morrison was not a man who could be bought or threatened. My loyalty is to the law, not to you or your father. That Apache stays free unless he breaks the law. Now get out of my office, Clayton left angry. But he was not finished. If the law would not stop the wedding, he would stop it himself. The night before the wedding, Clayton and 4 of his ranch hands rode out to the Henderson farm. They brought rope and guns. They planned to take Taze away and hang him from a tree. They would tell everyone he was a criminal. No one would question them. No one would care about a dead Apache. But they did not know that Dr. Hayes had heard about their plan. A bartender who did not like Clayton had overheard them talking at the saloon. He told Dr. Hayes, who immediately rode to warn Sarah and Taze. They are coming tonight, Dr. Hayes said breathlessly. Clayton and his men. They want to kill Taze. Sarah felt ice in her stomach. We need to hide him. No, Taze said calmly. I will not hide. I will not run. If they want to kill me, let them try. You cannot fight 5 men, Sarah said desperately. I will help him, Dr. Hayes said. He pulled out a pistol from his coat. I am not a very good shot, but I can make noise. Sheriff Morrison suddenly appeared in the doorway. He had ridden out as soon as he heard what Clayton was planning. No one is killing anyone tonight, the sheriff said. He had his rifle in his hands. I am staying here until morning. If Clayton comes, he will have to go through me. And Clayton did come. Around midnight, Sarah heard horses. She looked out the window and saw 5 men on horseback. Clayton was in front. Sheriff Morrison stepped out onto the porch. Go home, Clayton. Get out of the way, Sheriff, Clayton said. This does not concern you. It concerns me when citizens threaten murder, the sheriff said. Turn around and go home, or I will arrest all of you. You cannot arrest us all, one of the ranch hands said. Maybe not, the sheriff said, but I can arrest Clayton. And I will. His father might have money, but I have the law. Now go. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Clayton turned his horse around. This is not over, he said. That Apache will pay for what he has done. What has he done? The sheriff asked, and tell me. What law has he broken? Clayton had no answer. He rode away with his men following him. Inside the house, Sarah let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Taze stood beside her, looking out the window. That man hates me, Taze said. He hates that I chose you instead of him, Sarah said. His pride is hurt. That is all. Pride can make men do terrible things, Taze said quietly. The next day was the wedding day. Only a few people came. Dr. Hayes was there. Sheriff Morrison stayed as a witness, and William Henderson was there, sitting in a chair that Taze had carried into the main room. William looked very weak, but his eyes were bright. Sarah wore her mother's wedding dress. It was simple and white. Taze wore the best clothes he had. They were not fancy, but they were clean. Reverend Thomas read from his Bible. He did not look happy, but he said the words correctly. Do you, Sarah Henderson, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do, Sarah said. Her voice was clear and strong. Do you, Taze, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do, Taze said. Winter came early that year. By November, snow covered the ground. The days were short and cold. The nights were even colder. Sarah and Taze lived like strangers in the same house. Taze slept in the barn, even though it was freezing. Sarah slept alone in her room. They worked together during the day, but they barely talked. The easy conversations on the porch steps were gone now. Everything felt different after the wedding. Sarah did not know why. Maybe it was because the marriage felt fake. Maybe it was because neither of them knew how to act now that they were legally husband and wife. Maybe it was because they were both afraid of their own feelings. One night, a blizzard hit. The wind howled like a wild animal. Snow piled up against the walls. The temperature dropped so low that water froze solid in minutes. Sarah was worried about Taze in the barn. No one could survive a night like this without a good fire. She put on her heavy coat and fought through the snow to the barn. The wind tried to push her back. The snow blinded her, but she kept going. In the barn, she found Taze sitting in the hay wrapped in blankets. He had a small fire going in a metal bucket, but it was not enough. She could see his breath in the air. His lips were turning blue. "You cannot stay here tonight," Sarah said. "You will freeze to death." "I am fine," Taze said. But his voice was shaking. "You are not fine," Sarah said firmly. "Come to the house. There is a fire in the stove. There is warm food. You are my husband now. You should not sleep in the barn." "I sleep here so I do not make you uncomfortable," Taze said. Sarah felt her heart ache. "You think I am uncomfortable with you? I think you married me because you had to," Taze said quietly. "Not because you wanted to. I sleep in the barn so you can pretend I am not really your husband." "That is not true," Sarah said. But was it true? She did not know anymore. "Come to the house," she said again. "Please, I do not want you to freeze." Taze looked at her for a long moment. Then he stood up and followed her through the snow. Inside the warm farmhouse, Sarah made hot coffee and soup. Taze sat by the stove, warming his cold hands. Sarah gave him dry clothes that had belonged to her father. They were a little small, but they were better than his wet ones. "You can sleep in my father's room," Sarah said. "The bed is still there." "Thank you," Taze said. But that night Sarah could not sleep. The blizzard raged outside. The wind shook the windows, and Sarah kept thinking about Taze sleeping in the next room. Her husband. A man she barely knew but thought about constantly. Around midnight she heard a sound from her father's room. She got up and quietly opened the door. Taze was not sleeping. He was sitting by the window looking out at the snow. "Are you all right?" Sarah asked. Taze turned. "I cannot sleep. I keep thinking about my family, about my brother who died, about the life I lost. Winter was always the hardest time for my people. It is when we would gather together, tell stories, stay warm. Now I have no one." Sarah felt tears in her eyes. "You have me, do I?" Taze asked. "You are my wife on paper, but I do not know if I have your heart." Sarah walked into the room. She sat down beside him. "I do not know if you want my heart. You married me because my father asked you to, because you felt you owed a debt, not because you wanted me." "You think I did not want you?" Taze said. He sounded surprised. "You never said anything," Sarah said. "You never acted like you had feelings for me. You sleep in the barn. You call me Sarah, not wife. You treat me like a stranger." Taze looked down at his hands. "I thought that was what you wanted. I thought you were only being kind to me because you are a kind person. I thought your heart belonged to someone else. Maybe to Clayton or to some other white man." "Clayton," Sarah almost laughed. "I hate Clayton. I always did. He only wanted me for this farm and to have someone to control." "Then why did you really marry me?" Taze asked. "Tell me the truth." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment. She could tell him the truth or she could lie. She chose truth. "I married you because my father asked me to," she said, "but also because I wanted to. Because when I look at you, I see a good man, a brave man, a man who works hard and asks for nothing, a man who protected me when he did not have to. A man who makes me feel safe." She paused, then continued. "And because somewhere between finding you in the barn and now I started to care about you. I started to have feelings that I did not expect. I started to want this marriage to be real." Taze stared at her. "You have feelings for me?" "Yes," Sarah whispered. "I know we come from different worlds. I know people hate us. I know this is hard, but yes, I have feelings for you." Taze reached out and touched her face gently. His hand was warm now. "I have feelings for you too," he said softly. "From the first moment you helped me, I felt something. At first I thought it was just gratitude, but then I kept finding reasons to stay. I told myself it was about the debt, about protecting you. But the truth is I stayed because I did not want to leave you. Why did you not tell me? Sarah asked. Because I am Apache and you are white, Taze said. Because I have nothing to offer you except hard work and danger. Because I thought you deserved better than me. You are better, Sarah said. Better than any white man I ever met. Better than Clayton with all his money. Better than all those people in town who think they are so much better than us. They looked at each other in the dim light from the window. The blizzard raged outside, but inside it was warm and quiet. Can we start again? Taze asked. Can we have a real marriage? Yes, Sarah said. I want that, Taze smiled. It was the first real smile Sarah had seen on his face. It changed his whole face, made him look younger and happier. Then I will not sleep in the barn anymore, he said. A husband should be with his wife. That night they talked for hours. Taze told Sarah about his childhood, about learning to hunt and track, about the stories his grandmother told. Sarah told him about her mother, about learning to heal people, about her dreams for the farm. They talked until the sun came up and the blizzard finally stopped. The world outside was white and clean and new. Just like their marriage felt now. The winter that followed was hard but happy. Sarah and Taze learned about each other. She taught him to read and write English better. He taught her words in his language. She taught him to cook white people's food. He taught her to make Apache bread. In the evenings they would sit by the fire. Sometimes they would talk. Sometimes they would just sit in comfortable silence. Sarah would do her sewing while Taze carved small animals from wood. He made her a bird, a horse, a rabbit. She kept them all on the shelf above the stove. The people of Mesquite Springs slowly got used to seeing them together. Some people never accepted them. Mrs. Baker still refused to sell them supplies. Clayton Prescott still glared at them when he saw them in town. But some people started to change their minds. Dr. Hayes became a good friend. Sheriff Morrison treated them with respect. A few brave women started to talk to Sarah again. One old rancher even hired Taze to help break some wild horses, and was impressed with his skill. Spring came eventually. The snow melted and green grass appeared. Flowers bloomed. Birds returned. And Sarah realized something wonderful. She was going to have a baby. When she told Taze, he picked her up and spun her around. Then he gently put her down, afraid he had hurt her. We are going to have a child, he said with wonder. A son or a daughter? Are you happy? Sarah asked. I am more than happy, Taze said. I thought I had lost everything. My family, my people, my way of life. But you gave me a new family, a new life. You gave me everything. But Sarah was worried. What if people are cruel to our child? What if they call our baby names because the baby is part Apache? Then we will teach our child to be strong, Taze said. To be proud of both sides. To know that love is stronger than hate. That honor is more important than what people think. One day in late spring, a group of Apache people came to the farm. Sarah was afraid at first. But Taze went out to meet them. They talked in the Apache language for a long time. When Taze came back, he looked sad but also peaceful. They are from my old band, he told Sarah. They heard I was living here. They came to see if it was true. What did you tell them? Sarah asked. I told them I have a new life now, Taze said. A wife and a child coming. They understand. They said I am welcome to visit them any time. But they know I belong here now. With you. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. You gave up your people for me. No, Taze said. I chose a new people. You are my people now. And our child will be our people. We are making something new. Something that belongs to both worlds. As summer came, Sarah's belly grew round with the baby. Taze would talk to the baby every night, telling stories in both English and Apache. He built a beautiful cradle from wood, carved with birds and flowers and symbols from his people. People in town saw how gentle Taze was with Sarah. They saw how hard he worked on the farm. They saw that the Henderson farm was doing better than ever before. Slowly, very slowly, more people started to accept them. One day, Clayton Prescott came to the farm. Sarah was frightened, but Taze stood beside her, strong and calm. I came to apologize, Clayton said. The words seemed hard for him to say. I was wrong about you. About both of you. I was angry and jealous. But I see now that Sarah made the right choice. You are a better man than I am.